We continue with the movement and settlement of the Eastern Bantu. Another group that later came to settle as a result of the dispersals by the different groups. We have seen the Gala dispersing the Bantu, and then later came to be known as Coastal and Island. So from the pressure that the Gala created, we find that the Akamba, or call them Kamba if you want. You can call them Akamba or Kamba. This is a group that later came to be very instrumental in the long distance trade. They are one of the major participants in the long distance trade, occupying the northern trade route. But these people, the Akamba, Chuka, Chikuyu, and the Embu, because of all those inconveniences created by the Gala, moved to the Kenya Highlands. And because of that, by preferring the Kenya Highlands, they came to be known as the Highland Bantu. They have now lost the name Coastal, because they are no longer the what? At the coast. Now that they have settled around the Kenya Highland, this one we know was later preferred by the white settlers because of the importance of the Kenya Highlands, fertile soils, and of course, strategic location. So because of the Kenya Highland being strategic for them to carry out agriculture, they got a new name. So in other words, they got a name depending on where they did what? They settled. Yes, a place they settled gave them the name. So that's why they are calling them Highland Bantu. But they are not calling them Kenya Highland Bantu, no. They just call them Highland Bantu. That we are told that because of population pressure, or because of arrival of many groups, the population did what? Shot up. Population increased, and because of the population pressure, among the Highland Bantu, those that were settling around the Kenya Highlands, especially the Chikuyu, those are the owners. That's why when the white settlers came, the first reaction from the locals was from the Chikuyu, who had lost land to the whites for settlements. So because of the increased pressure and the increased population, especially the Kikuyu, it caused further expansion. In other words, others had to leave because the area around the Kenya Highlands became very small for them. So they had to leave and go elsewhere. And that one brings us to another migration, which was going to take place. But as they were migrating eastwards, they met a problem of the Maasai and the Kamba. So another problem comes. Much as they were fleeing from the Gala, they now get inconvenienced by the Maasai and the Kamba, other hostile tribes. So that one was another problem. That's why I'm saying that their movement was curtailed or stopped by the Maasai and the Gala. Kamba, who were another hostile group. And we are told that the Eastern Bantu migration continued up to 1850. It had started around 1000. So it moved up to 1800 AD. You can imagine. So up to this time, they were still doing what? Moving up to 1850. Some groups, however, remained on and close to the coast. Not everybody left, like these ones who left the coast and they went to the Kenya Highlands, only to be called the Highland Band. Some remained there at the coast. So much as the rest went, others remained there. Why? Because they preferred strategic areas at the coast, which were very important for cultivation, and others were very busy doing some fishing. And so they could have remained there to settle permanently. And because of the reduction in the pressures from the hostility of the what? Of the Gala. Yes. And that one brings us to the point that the coastal and island Bantu are sometimes referred to as the Eastern Bantu. Why? Because they settled in the eastern part of East Africa. Whereas those who settled in the western part, especially in the Intercaspian region, were known as the Western Bantu. Those who settled in central Tanzania were known as the Central Tanzanian Bantu. So it is where they settled that gave them their what? Their name. And we shall see many more examples. For example, the Giriama, Pokomo, and these others that later fought in the Majimaji rebellion, the Ngindo, all those form part of the Southern Tanganyika Bantu. So, two names can be used to explain these people. You can call them Eastern Bantu or Coastal and what? Highland. Why? Because they first settled at the coast, the highland areas. The coast and then the highland areas. But they can ask them in another way. How did the Eastern Bantu migrate into East Africa? Or how did the Coastal and Highland Bantu? So the two names, you should know another name for this group. We also told that part of these people, the Chukwa, came up to River Tana, and they are said to have arrived around 1300 AD. So it was just this, they were migrants just meandering all over. They were just moving without any what specific area to settle. The Embu followed the Chukwa because these had settled together at some point, and they arrived around 1450 AD. Finally, the Kikuyu, those who were a threat, who were the owners of the Kenya Highlands. The owners of the Kenya Highlands also arrived around 1500 AD. And the last one is the Eastern Bantu, which occupied which areas? The region between east of Rift Valley, that is in Kenya, and you know how important the Eastern Rift Valley was. It was associated with fertile soils. That's why they prefer those areas in Kenya. And the north of Tanganyika. So, eastern part of the Rift Valley of East Africa and the northern part of Tanganyika is where most of these Bantu groups are said to have settled with ease. That one brings us to the end of the migration and settlement of these people.